Today is a big day for Yuki. Can we increase his power so that he can beat a Mazda MX-5? Let's crank the boost. I've just driven the Cappuccino down from Torque GT to this place, Engine Tuner in Plymouth. And in case you didn't see the last video, let me take you through some of the mods that have happened to Yuki. So, we got a whole load of stuff from HKS. We've got an air filter, spark plugs, and then an exhaust underneath. And then the main thing is we got a K-Sport ECU that is plugged straight in the glove box and hopefully should be giving Yuki a few more horsepower. He is already creating way more boost than he did. You can hear it. You couldn't really hear the turbo before, but now you get such a nice flutter. So he's already creating boost. The aim is 100 horsepower because, as I've said before, I reckon 100 horsepower plus how little this car weighs should be able to overcome an MX-5. You started with 63. Can we get into triple figures? Let's see what Yuki's got. Martin, you're the technical manager here at Engine Tuner. We've done some initial runs, and that's simply with the ECU plugged in, doing what it's doing, and it said 70 horsepower.
Yes.
So I assumed, I've come into it thinking the factory figure of 63, but a few have left the field.
Yes.
And so it was in the 50s. So let's say like a 17 horsepower gain. So percentage-wise, that's quite a lot.
It is.
Can you translate what the ECU so far has done with this engine?
It's really difficult to say because we didn't have factory figures on this dyno.
Sure.
So as far as the tuning goes, the mixture looks okay. We're questioning whether the ignition timing is exactly correct. It could be that it's a bit retarded. It physically sounds a bit retarded when you bring the engine up through the RPM range.
Okay, but so it's doing something.
It's doing something.
That's more than factory, right? 70 horsepower.
It is. But it's difficult to tell why exactly at the moment because we haven't exactly looked at the map. I don't know what the ignition timing is over stock.
Okay.
But of course, we're gaining power. I think we're going to gain more with a fair bit of tuning.
So using your vast experience, what do you reckon we'll be able to
if we can find another 10, 15 horsepower, then I'll be quite happy as a starting point over where we're starting from now as opposed to where it started from factory.
Okay, so you're saying mid-80s then?
If we can get mid-80s out of it, I'll be much more happy.
Is my 100 horsepower far too optimistic?
I think that's very optimistic unless we're going to do something about the fact that the vehicle has no form of boost control on it at the moment other than the rating of the spring within the actuator.
Well, I still believe, but I'm an idiot. So,
okay.
Let's get computing. Let's see what it can do.
Absolutely.
I'm actually really happy with this so far. I'm used to doing dyno runs and seeing those lines incrementing upwards, and that's what's happening, but I guess it's just all to scale. I just need to slightly adjust the way I look at it. I'm used to, you know, our M5 and the Jag XKR, those lines, that increment normally means 20 horsepower, but on here, it can mean half a horsepower, but to scale, that's a good thing. So, we've come in, say this car started in the 50s, immediately with that ECU up to 70 and now up to 75. I'm going to slightly adjust my expectations now. I agree with Martin, anything in the 80s I think will be good, and I guess we'll just put stickier tyres on it to beat the Mazda. But yeah, 75 just now, let's get another 5 and then I think we can call that a success. Martin, a nice little increase there. What got us to 75 horsepower?
Okay, so we went really basic with it and just manually wound in just a touch of ignition advance by physically moving the distributor.
Okay.
Now we're going to get scientific about it. So we're going to move the distributor back where it was, and we're going to put a timing light on it.
Okay.
And then lock the ECU to a base timing figure so that we can check that the reference angle is actually correct before I start actually advancing the ignition map within the ECU. We need to know that if we're asking for 20 degrees, we're physically getting 20 degrees down at the timing mark. So.
Okay, well you sound like you know exactly what you're doing.
We've been there before. So,
so yeah, let's see it.
Okay.
We're preparing for our final couple of runs now. Martin and Paul were just looking at the spark plugs to see how the car is burning, and they're burning really, really nicely, so they're happy with that. We've been incrementing the timing, advancing it bit by bit, degree by degree, and the horsepower gains have now just started to tail off. That last run we gained a horsepower, so we're probably not far away from finding that optimum figure, and then that'll be that. We've achieved our new goal of 80 horsepower. Let's hope just another couple of degrees we'll get that right into the 80s, and then that'll be our figure to take on the MX-5. I realise that without context, that number there seems quite small, but 85 horsepower is a 35% increase over the factory figure. And taking into account this is a 1994 car, that increase is probably in the 40% area. That is serious. If that was a 400 horsepower Subaru, like there's loads of them kicking around outside, that would be a massive increase. I am really proud of this little car in this dyno session, so let's get him back to Torque GT and make him even quicker through some suspension mods and some new brakes. Before we start any further work, today has been the first day that's been nice enough to get the roof off the Suzuki. So let me show you the 4 different cars that a Suzuki Cappuccino can be. Starting with a full convertible, Targa, a T-top, or the full hardtop, as if you needed further reasons that the Suzuki Cappuccino is the greatest car in the world. It was now time to unbox the fresh parts to go on Yuki in this episode, starting with a set of V1 coilovers from BC Racing. Tarox put brakes on our Jaguar XKR, and they've also sent through this upgrade for the Cappuccino. They are tiny! Look at them! Amazing. if you fancy a K car of your own, but you don't want one that's been rusting away in the UK for the last couple of decades, Torque GT can import you one like these things here. These are Honda S660s. So being Honda S cars, they're in the same family as the S2000, and 660 denotes that it's a K car, 660cc, 658 to be precise. So it's a 3-cylinder turbo, 63 horsepower, just like the Suzuki Cappuccino, but a bit more torque. I think it's in the sort of 70 foot-pounds-ish. I think they look like mini versions of the new Honda NSX. And these three here, they are already customer cars here at Torque, and they've got some really nice, simple modifications. Like this one's got BBS wheels, and this one here has got a nice Alcantara steering wheel. So these are manual, rear-wheel drive, rear mid-engined little sports cars. Tell me you wouldn't have a shed load of fun using one of these as a daily. I know I would, and you should probably buy one. Off come the old standard brakes and suspension, and on go the fresh upgrades from BC Racing and Tarox. Not only has Yuki gained some power, he will now handle and stop infinitely better. Especially now that the car sits on coilovers, we now have a level of adjustability to really hone the car to where it needs to be to beat the Mazda. After a quick clean and as final prep for the MX-5 battle, it was time for Yuki to don some war paint thanks to today's sponsor, G-Technic. Suds Law, a G-Technic accredited detailer down here in Exeter, are applying the brand new EXO V5 hydrophobic coating to the car. This coating will massively help repel dirt and will keep Yuki as hydrophobic as possible for between 18 to 24 months. If it rains during the MX-5 battle, the water and dirt will simply fall off the car, so it is ideal for any road and track-based car, making ongoing cleaning super easy. With the Cappuccino already beautifully machine polished, look how good that red has come out. Kevin starts with a favourite of ours, G-Technic's Crystal Serum Light. This stuff properly protects your car's paint by resisting swirls and contaminants, as well as adding gloss. This is ultra durable compared to other paint protection products. It literally lasts years. Then on goes the EXO V5. G-Technic always recommends applying EXO over the top of their ceramic coatings. EXO is so hydrophobic as a top coating that you will find that most of the dirt will just blow off when using a pressure washer. This new version of EXO has upped its repellent technology and is a single layer coating versus the previous two, saving time during the application process. And with that, Yuki is pretty much ready to have a crack at an MX-5. He will be getting some fresh tyres, and those nasty bits underneath will be welded up so that they're solid and safe and that we can get the car back out on the road. The next time you see Yuki, he will be on a track ready to rock. Can we make the Suzuki Cappuccino the new entry-level sports car king? We'll find out in the next episode. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to DRIVETRIBE.